I'd been stationed on Arcturus 9 for just 2 weeks when everything started getting weird. Not the usual kind of weird you expect on a frontier science station orbiting a dead star. The malfunctioning gravity pads, food rations that taste like wet carpet, or even the occasional hallucination from extended cryosleep. No, this was a different weird. It started with the cleaning assignment. Every Earthling on Station Sigmayar had been paired with a local, a Zalari worker. The Zalari were native to this region of space. Tall, lanky, vaguely humanoid, but with shimmering skin that pulsed like bioluminescence and long, feather-like tendrils that shifted and quivered as they moved. They were eerily quiet. Too quiet, really. My Zalari cleaner was named Velith, or at least that was the closest approximation. She never spoke, not audibly. She just drifted in each morning, cleaned with silent precision, then left like a mist fading in daylight. Until the morning she paused mid-step, dropped the data cloth she'd been using to clean my terminal, and stared directly at me. I froze in my seat, halfway through logging geological anomalies from the station's deep mining operation. Her usually placid face, no nose, just ridged plates and those iridescent violet eyes, stared at me with a fixed intensity that made my skin crawl. "You are hurting," she said, her voice like chimes underwater. I blinked. "I'm sorry. You speak English." She tilted her head. "Not speak. Here. You dream of Earth. You miss family. A brother." I stood so fast my chair tipped backward. "No," I said quickly. No. You're not allowed to do that. That's a violation of the peace-bound accord. Telepathy is instinct, not intrusion," Velith said, her eyes flickering. "You echo loudly. Pain vibrates." My mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. That memory of Jamie, my younger brother, was something I kept buried. I hadn't spoken about him in years, especially not after what happened on Mars during the collapse. "You need to leave," I said. "Now." But she didn't move. Instead, she took a slow, hesitant step forward. "Let me silence the echo." I set out. I barked, voice harder than I meant. She did leave then, not with fear or shame, just silence. I tried to report her. Station command predictably brushed me off. "The Zalari don't engage in telepathic communication unless invited," Commander Hurst said over a low-band secure call. "It's probably just a misunderstanding. They're empaths, not mind readers. And even if she did catch something, maybe your walls aren't as strong as you think." I nearly screamed. But what could I do? There were no laws here. No protections for emotional boundaries when you were light years from any Earth Council. The next day she came again. And again the next. She didn't speak, just cleaned like nothing had happened. But her eyes, they never left me. On the 5th day I made a mistake. I was lying on my bunk, headphones on, trying to distract myself with a bootleg recording of 80s rock. Something familiar, something mine. My defenses were down. I thought of Jamie again. The way he'd laugh whenever I messed up lyrics. The day I taught him to ride the old gravcycle we salvaged from junk back on Phobos. And then the memory turned. To the bunker collapse. The screaming. The silence. Tears slid down my cheeks before I realized I wasn't alone. Velith stood in the corner. "Get out," I said hoarsely. He didn't. She glided closer and, without asking, placed a hand against my forehead. The room dissolved. Suddenly I was back in the red sand of Mars. Jamie's face, dirt-smeared and laughing. Except it wasn't just memory. I could feel the warmth, the wind, the scent of rust and ozone. Velith stood beside me, glowing like a specter against the orange sky. "This is what lingers," she said, not aloud but inside my head. "Why are you doing this?" I demanded. Because your mind cries in silence. Zalari, do not leave the wounded. I didn't ask for help. Your thoughts did. I woke up on the floor of my room, cold and shivering. Velith was gone. I didn't sleep that night. Or the next. I tried to change my cleaning assignment. I filed a request with command and even threatened to bring it to the Interspecies Rights Council. No one listened. And then Velith returned. But this time she brought something else. Memory sphere. Zalari tech, illegal to transfer to humans without consent. It hovered between us, spinning gently. Your pain is bound. Let me show you how to release. I wanted to throw it out the airlock. But I was exhausted. Alone. So I touched it. Images flooded me. Not mine, hers. Her nest siblings being culled during a purge by the Zodron Empire. The long flight to Sigmar. Being assigned to menial cleaning duties despite being a full neuroempath. The constant buzz of pain and resentment from the humans here. The quiet isolation. Fear. And then, curiosity. The day she first entered my quarters. The flickers of grief and longing she picked up like static through a wall. You're hurting too, I whispered. Her gaze softened. Yes. That is why I stayed. After that, things changed. She stopped cleaning. Instead, she started being here. Sitting silently as I worked. Hovering beside me as I ate. Sometimes she would hum. A low, thrumming resonance that vibrated through the metal walls and eased the constant ache in my chest. We didn't talk much. Words weren't necessary. She showed me how to shield memories, how to redirect pain into controlled currents. The Zalari called it mind-weaving. Like smoothing a torn fabric with invisible hands. Soon I realized I looked forward to her visits. And then the nightmares stopped. But peace doesn't last long on Sigmar. Began with the blackout. One of the deep mining tunnels collapsed, cutting off power to half the station. Emergency protocols failed. Life support flickered. And something else came up from the depths. Poor. Fungal. Alien. Spread fast. Within a day, 6 crew members were infected. Paranoia, hallucinations, violent behavior. They weren't just sick. The spores were rewriting brain chemistry. I was trapped in my quarters when the lockdown started. And Velith never left. I remember the moment I felt it crawling at the edges of my thoughts. Like ice cracking beneath the surface. I doubled over, gripping my skull, feeling it burrow into memory, hunting for fear to feed on. Velith pressed her palm to my temple. No, she hissed. Not him. She reached into me, deeper than ever before, and burned the infection out. Pain lanced through my skull and I screamed. Then silence. My vision cleared. And I realized she'd absorbed the spore into herself. Her skin darkened. The glowing tendrils flickered erratically. She dropped to her knees. Why would you do that? I asked, heart hammering. Because, she whispered, I no longer stay out of duty. I stay. Because of you. She stabilized after a day in the quarantine chamber I built from old tech and Zalari wiring she taught me to scavenge. Somehow she fought off the infection. I reported everything. Her heroism, her intervention. This time Station Command couldn't ignore it. They upgraded her status from civilian aide to essential personnel. She was offered a full ambassadorial liaison role. They gave her a new room. She never moved in.